Check this out, guys. I have got a unique situation today that is brought to you in part by, and I'm going to read this to make sure I get it correct, Tanner. Thank you, Tanner, of Pristine Auto Detailing Indy of Indianapolis, Indiana. So check this out. Talk about the law of reciprocity. If you're not familiar with that term or that law, it's really boiled down to this. What you put out into the world, be it good or bad, comes back to you. So Tanner, through Facebook, had a customer, which really wasn't a customer yet, but somehow Tanner had cleaned these special wheels that come off of a Mustang. It's a performance Mustang, and they're carbon fiber wheels. And what the problem is on the inside of the wheel, and you see all this buildup. Now, if it was painted and clear coated, it's a straightforward problem. And my wheel acid would do the trick. Many cleaners would do the trick. But with this carbon fiber in here, it's not finished to the point where it's ultra smooth. It actually has a texture in it. So, as I've said in many of my other videos, brake dust is corrosive. If you allow it to remain long enough, it will become a permanent fixture on your wheels. So as a detailer, that is a discussion I have with my customers. I address it on my website prior to them even calling me, but they may not always do enough due diligence on my website. So point being, as detailers, it's all about the details, right? We typically want to clean the inside of the barrels in a very comprehensive detail. But that's not always realistic and possible because two things. For one, it's going to require you a lot of time if Johnny customer has not kept up on the inside of his wheel barrels. So let's say, for example, that his wheel or his car is 3 years old and he's never cleaned the inside of the wheel barrels. And now you've been called out as a detailer to, in fact, detail the car. So, and especially for you beginners, because you want to overthink things and over-deliver, and I get it. There's over-delivering, and then there's over-delivering to a level of absurdity, and by absurdity, I mean you're not making a profit anymore. Ultimately, it's not show friends. It's called show business. Why? Because it's a business. You're there to make money. So if you consume an hour of your time trying to detail out the inside of the wheel barrel and you have not charged sufficient enough money for it, then you're walking away at a loss. So you need to have that conversation with your customer, which is what I do. I say, hey, as a detailer, I love the inside of the wheels all detailed out. But if you've had the brake dust and it's been sitting around for years and it's never been detailed out, I don't know if I can get out that or get the brake dust off 100%. So what would suck is if I consume all this time into cleaning the inside of the wheel barrel and I have not charged sufficient enough money to do that. Secondly, what if I get in there and I cannot clean it 100% without dismounting the wheels from the car, because the traditional wheel cleaners, even my famous acid-based Meguiar's wheel brightener, sometimes alone is not going to do it. And so you're scrubbing and you have to break out extra pads, abrasive pads, cleaning pads, whatever types of pads, and you've got to be able to get in there and really scrub and grind and go down the list, and it's just not realistic. So what would suck is that you spend and consume all this time, and now the wheel barrels are about 80% clean, and that's as far as you can go. Now, in my opinion, you could pull back and look at that and say, wow, Darren, I would have preferred if you just left them because they're all black inside, coated with brake dust, and now you've cleaned them about 80%. It actually reveals a bad problem. In a lot of ways, customers would look at that as like an unworthy trade-off. So that's where it gets a little dicey and you've got to deal with that. So this is unique. This is a one-time moment for me. It's my first rodeo for these types of wheels. Now Tanner was kind enough to let me know that he attempted virtually every possible solution to remove this. Now when I first got here, because Tanner said that ultimately his Steamer was the magic answer. So I busted out the Steamer, and yes, in fact, it did work, but it did not work 100%. And this is no reflection on you, Tanner, because ultimately you've got the rules, which you've established that. You said you tried all the different wheel cleaners, including the wheel acid, and that's exactly what I would have done, by the way. And one of the last things I would have tried is, in fact, my Steamer. But this wheel is not the same wheels that Tanner did. So you have the rules, but then you constantly have to respond to what the data that's being fed back to you, which in this moment is like, hey, Darren, the Steamer's working, but it's only working about 90%. How can Darren reach 100%? Well, that's where chemicals and scrub pads come in. So what I found is that if I treat it with a chemical, and this is where I'm going to remain in covert mode, I'm going to lift my skirt, as I say, for you guys. I'm going to lift it pretty far up, but I'm not going to lift it up all the way. And this is one of those moments, because rare will it be that you guys will have to deal with this situation. I'm actually trying to teach you a few other things here. So I know that if I pre-treat it with a chemical that's actually a basic chemical, I've just discovered it, it's a cleaner, very effective, and I use it full strength. So if I treat that first and then I come with the Steamer, then I have 100%. Okay guys, I'm a detailer and I'm a car enthusiast, but by no means do I know it all. So I brought Tim, my customer, on camera. He's going to tell us exactly why this is such a specialized wheel and what it comes on. So Tim, do enlighten us as to, for one, we know it's a carbon fiber wheel, and tell us about what kind of car it comes on.
Well, these are actually standard equipment on the brand new Shelby GT350R. So for anyone who's not familiar with Mustangs, just imagine the most badass track-ready Mustang, and that's exactly what these come on. So the GT350R separates itself from the regular GT350 by having a couple of carbon fiber items on the exterior. There's a lot more that goes into it mechanically that makes it different, but purely from an exterior point of view, these are kind of the headline item. It comes with 4 full carbon fiber wheels, and it also has a really huge carbon fiber rear wing on it as well. But those are the two kind of headline items for it on the exterior. And what's special about the fronts is that you can see the fronts have got this kind of rough ceramic interior coating on them, and that's purely just for heat protection, because the carbon fiber at the front is going to be subject to huge temperatures compared to the rears, just because of the size of the front. Brakes on these cars are huge, and you know, I had some issues trying to clean them myself, so you know, that's where you come into the picture to give me a helping hand here. But these are super special. If you get bored, do a Google search. They're actually an Australian company called Carbon Revolution that manufacture these wheels under contract by Ford, and they're actually one of the most advanced engineering-wise. They're one of the most advanced wheels on the market today. Super special wheels, and
by super special, we also mean super expensive.
Absolutely, yeah. You basically need a small mortgage to pay for these wheels if you want to buy them from Ford. Yeah, they're a very expensive wheel, but from everything that I've read about them, the performance gains, because you lose around 80 pounds of unsprung weight for the 4 wheels over standard Shelby wheels with these on a track. That makes such a huge difference. So there's a super, you know, very desirable wheels, and as well as them looking good, they've got huge performance advantages for a track car. So I feel super lucky to have them in my possession. Sadly, as you know, I'm actually going to be selling the wheels, but yeah, very lucky to get a hold of them. It's great to see something like this. I'm an engineer myself, so I can appreciate something like this.
So do you have a buyer lined up already?
No, actually, I was just cleaning them just to get them ready for pre-sale.
Okay.
I wanted to get some nice pretty photos, get them all dressed up.
So check this out, because I've got substantial viewers for my YouTube channel. If they wanted to buy these, let's say there's going to be an enthusiast out there that wants to get his hands on these wheels.
Absolutely.
Is there a way he's going to, like, let's say in a week you'll have them posted.
Yep.
If he just did a Google search, Mustang 350, did you say R or 350 GTR?
It's the actual model is the GT350R.
Okay, so GT350 ah.
That's right.
He's from England, by the way, you guys. So when he says R, it's different than how we what do you call us, Yanks?
That's right.
Us Yanks, us heathens.
That's right.
We say R.
Yeah.
They say ah. Okay, so how would they find?
I actually have a small performance parts web store. I deal usually just with Mustang, new shape Mustang stuff. So if you go onto the website's called beithperformanceparts.com. I'll spell that for you. So it's BEITH performanceparts.com. I'm also on Instagram, same name. These will be going up on Instagram within the next couple of days once these are clean. And yeah.
Okay, you know what I'll do is I will take down his info, guys, and I will put it underneath this video in the show more box, and I'll have all his info in case you're interested in these wheels. And that's me. I'm going to pay it forward. So he's giving me a job to do. Tanner gave me the lead. I'm here doing the job. He's going to resell them. Yeah. So you see how this works?
We're all a circle of friends.
So thanks. I didn't know you're an engineer. So thanks for informing us and enlightening us about the uniqueness of these types of wheels. Here I have my Steamer, my VX5000, and for all you people out there that have been endlessly requesting, Darren, do a tutorial, do a review on the VX5000. Well, this is one of those moments. I'm still trying to cover the basics, so I've not spent much time doing it. Well, let's have a look at this wheel. And this wheel is super light. I'm picking it up with one hand. I would say it's probably, if I had to guess, 25 to 30 pounds. I know there's going to be some like total zealot out there that knows everything about these wheels and cars that they're fitted on. Will be able to correct me on that. Now these spokes on the back side and inside this barrel have not been coated or painted and then clear coated. So this is the area that I have to deal with, and you can see this buildup. Now there's some general dirt here, but then there's some big thicker spots here. Obviously this is the area that I tested before I started shooting to see what kind of results I could deliver. This area with the spots is just the steamer. This is the area where I pre-treated and then steamed. So let me put this on the tripod and I'll show you it in action. And yes, for all those that ask, I do in fact use my Rack Attack rolling creeper on a daily basis. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Someone suggested on Instagram, I don't know where, they said, oh, hey Darren, do you still use that overpriced rolling creeper? Well, yes. Was it expensive? Yes. Is it cheap? No. Do you get what you pay for as a rule? Yes. Do I love it? Love it, love it? Yes, I do. It is so friendly on the knees, the back. Let me zoom in here and I'll show you it in action. So this is what happens with just the steamer alone. You'll notice when I first started doing this, it was coming out virtually clean. That's because this whole general area has been pre-treated first. So this is what I experienced with just the steamer alone. Now something, since you guys want to know, with the steamer there's different tips. The tip I'm using is a single stream of heated, steamed water. They have a tip that has 3 little outlets to it. Why is that critical? Well, for example, let's say you're using this on a piece of material in the car. And so what happens is because it's so concentrated in a single stream, you will leave marks. See those very specific marks? And this is a problem, if any of you know about concrete cleaning, is that they have such a high pressure of water, as in their pressure washers. What happens is you'll see these cleaning marks because it's so concentrated into a very precise area. It's hard, and you need that kind of power and pressure to do the job. But what happens is you create all this pattern where you've cleaned, and so you're constantly trying to work it in so it's a nice uniformed pattern. Now, because I know that I'm going to clean this or I'm going to pre-spot it with a cleaner, and I'm going to scrub it a little bit, and then follow up with the steamer, it becomes a non-issue. But if you're working on carpet or other materials within the car, you will notice, or you will find that can in fact become a problem, and that's where you have to switch heads, and even those heads that comes out with 3 little holes or 3 little outlets, they're still going to be concentrated areas. So you will have to finesse it in trying to create a very uniform pattern. Now, the closer you get, the more intense the heat and the pressure is, and the further away you go, obviously it dissipates. So that's where the finessing comes in trying to A, do the job you're trying to do, and B, create a uniformed appearance to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-treat this with my cleaner. This is my Scotch-Brite pad. Now, I'm not worried about scratching the surface. I'm not going to take it up to this lip, so I'm going to finesse the cleaning on the area that's already rough and textured. And it just, once again, is you've got to understand what I call the 3-dimensional world and cleaners and basic rules and chemistry. And I don't mean you need a degree in chemistry, you just need to understand basic elements of chemistry. There's a couple spots here that my guess is that is road tar that has watered up, and it's a big thick. And any of you that have cleaned the inside of wheelbarrows, you know, at least here in California, that is a common problem, is you'll get these big chunks of road tar and it will stick. And that's a non-issue. Now, you would think that 360 degrees would melt that, and likely if I held it there long enough, it would. But I know that my rapid remover will dissolve that very quickly. And so this project alone is going to take 2 different chemicals, 1 tool, or if you want to talk about my scrub pad, 2 tools, based on how you define tools. So that's what this job is going to require. I want to bring you in for a shot of the inside. Notice the spokes, the wheelbarrow, so I can show you the finished result. Now that I've cleaned the wheelbarrow, geez, Darren. So these big wads that you can see, for example, this one, you see how what I've done is I've treated it. I've sprayed rapid remover on it, and let's apply some context to this. The steamer, the VX5000, puts out 360 degree water or steam. It barely touched that, but I spray my rapid remover. You see what it does? It's only been on there about 40 seconds at this point. It literally just starts breaking it down because I know this is tar, and it just starts basically dissolving it, which is why I'm such a huge fan of the rapid remover. Now, this was a big wad of tar, and I still have to treat it more and more because something that thick and substantial is going to require multiple treatments. So I'm now introducing yet another product into this job, my very famous rapid remover that I am so in love with. Yes, it's not cheap, but time is money. So if it can produce results like this, I'm all for it. Now that I've cleaned the barrel of this wheel, the customer also had some scratches that were on the surface or the face of this wheel. Now I know that this wheel has been painted and clear coated, which in reduced down to simple terms is the same type of clear coat they use on car paint. It's not identical because there's many factors involved, but the rules are the same, which is polishing, it's clear coat, you've got a base color coat, a very thin clear coat. So I'm limited on how much polishing I can do, but there is just some, what we would call in the industry, superficial abrasions and scratches. I could tell someone had tried to use some rubbing compound by hand and made some abrasions, so I can remove them very quickly with my rotary and a wool pad. I do not have to worry about holograms or swirl marks on this type of moment, so I can blaze right through it with this. If you're wondering where my Milwaukee cordless is, well, a fellow detailer pried it from my hand so he could borrow it and test it himself. Now there's some scratches right in here, which is right in this corner, which is, you really have to finesse it with a buffer. And no DA is going to be able to work very well in this moment. The cool thing about this moment is that it spins on a single axis, so it's not oscillating in all these different ways, so I can get right into a corner and maintain that position very tightly. Just like that. Just like that, and finesse those scratches right out of that little crevasse. And I have, I would say, 98 perfection in that moment. Now I did do a little tooling before I turned the camera on, but the point is it didn't require that much effort because of the rotary, that it spins on a single axis versus spinning and oscillating like a DA. Now I'm going to take my Meguiar's Synthetic Express Wax, finish cleaning this up, waxing this, getting all the dust and the sling off of it, and then we will be good to go. Okay folks, here we have our final product, and this is the second wheel I will be addressing, and you can see the heavy buildup of what looks like just mildew that I often see on RVs on the roof. Not that many of you would be familiar with that, but it's this funky pattern, and I know it's brake dust, obviously. So this is what I have to now clean up. This is the after effect. You'll notice there's a few spots that may or may not show up on camera. What happens, like for example this one, that's where the big wad of road tar was. It is completely removed, but it has stained the actual coating. And I've tried every chemical that I have ever used in the detailing world, and I cannot remove the actual staining. And that's a little lesson for you guys, is that not every stain is possible of being removed. Materials, stains come in endless forms and configurations, so you have to be able to tell your customer that you cannot guarantee every moment. I don't care who you are, and this is where experience comes in, and sometimes you can deliver better results than the next guy, but ultimately, I don't care who you are, eventually you will be stuck, and you will not be able to remove everything. Okay guys, I hope you have learned something. If you like what you're seeing and you want to stay tuned for additional how-to videos, and I go much deeper than the traditional how-to stuff. I dig into business skills, life skills, you name it. I'll probably cover it. So subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up. I enjoy reading your comments. Of course, I do not have time to respond to every comment, but by all means, make a comment. Some of the other people, some of my other viewers might be able to respond to you. Every video will have links contained in the Show More box directly beneath every video. Check out those links if you want to find my website, links regarding these specific wheels, the products that I use, for example, the Rapid Remover, the Rack Attack, Rolling Creeper, go down the line, you name it, check out those links.